Today on Locked On Red Wings, the power play units get blown up and reassembled with a much different look.
You're Locked On Red Wings, your daily podcast on the Detroit Red Wings. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On Red Wings podcast. We are your hosts. I almost said hope. We are your only hope.
We are your hope.
We are your hope. Brian Fisher and Scotty Bentley, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And in the month of October, your number one Locked On NHL podcast. That was an incredible ride we were on in October, starting 5-1 to start the year with the 5-game winning streak. And we rode that to tops the ranks of the Locked On NHL Network. So that's a big shout out to all you guys who listen in daily, because we literally could not have gotten there in the month of October without your guys' support. So thank you so much for everything. That's YouTube and audio listens, like each individually, number one. That's awesome. Scotty, the Red Wings have a game today to play against the Anaheim Ducks after 3 days off, and it is actually Anaheim this time. Anaheim finally lost after a 7-game winning streak, so they're coming into Detroit with an L1, so to speak. The Red Wings, with 3 days off, took the time to kind of assess their scoring drought, work on one-on-one drills, and also shake up their lines, and not just the 5-on-5 lines, but the power play units as well. Out of practice on Wednesday, we got all new power play units. Now, there's no guarantee this is the power play units that they're going to be going into the game with, but I feel typically, if those are the units that you're practicing the day before a game, that indicates that a shakeup is coming for the game itself. And let me just read these off to you, Scotty, and then I want to get your initial reaction on the blow up that we have seen of these power play units, because a power play unit that is stagnant lately, but last season was one of the best in the league. Your power play unit 1, and I'm assuming these are power play units 1 and 2 accordingly. It's not official that this is the order, but just based on the personnel, I'm assuming this is the order. My presumed power play unit 1 is Finney at net front, Larkin in the bumper, Raymond and Danielson on the flanks with Moritz Seider on the point. The reason I assume that is power play unit 1 is just because you have Raymond, Larkin, and Seider, your 3 best players on that unit. Power play unit 2 is Rasmussen at the net front, Casper in the bumper, DeBrincat and Kane on the flanks with Axel Sandin Pellikka at the point, and Bergen is also cycling in with reps on Unit 1. Scotty, obviously the big headline here is they're taking Kane and DeBrincat off Power Play Unit 1, putting them on Power Play Unit 2. Like, what is your reaction to seeing what has been historically a very good Power Play unit that is on a 1-for-20 stretch get completely reassembled?
Yeah, it's interesting. I have a few different thoughts with it. It is fascinating to me that this is happening after McLellan praised what was Power Play 2, because this feels like something that you do if you're only getting production out of Power Play 1 and not getting anything out of Power Play 2, and you're like, okay, we have enough offensive talent where like maybe we can split them up a little bit and get good, solid production and goal scoring from both. But it's not the case. Like, it is just the power play as a whole is struggling. So I guess that this is a way to kind of divvy up the talent a little bit more, make sure that you are applying pressure no matter which unit is on the ice. It's interesting to me because he did recently praise the formerly known as Power Play 2. And this iteration, I'm kind of excited to see it. There's something to be said, I think, for just simply splitting up Kane and all the other top line players, just because it's like, okay, well, Kane in theory is going to produce on the power play kind of wherever he is. And then you trust, obviously, Larkin and Raymond and Seider and, Danielson, apparently, to to continue scoring on Unit 1. So it'll be interesting. Keeping Cat and Kane together kind of makes sense, but there's also that wasn't necessarily consistent at 5-on-5. I think we'll talk about that a little bit later, I'm sure. But yeah, man, like I think as a whole, I welcome it just because the power play has been struggling to put the puck in the back of the net. In the same breath, I'm not certain that this is going to just like fix everything and that this is going to be what the power play looks like the rest of the season either.
I think I actually disagree with you on your comment, Scotty, about this is what you do when power play unit 2 looks better. I think it's the other way around. I think because power play unit 1 has been struggling so much, and that's your lead unit that gets most of the power play time. Like power play unit 2 only goes out there when there's like 30 seconds left in the power play.
For sure.
The first minute and a half is power play unit 1 usually, and lately they've really struggled to gain the zone. So power play unit 2 has looked good, and McLellan, to your point, did praise that. But what good does that do you when you waste the first minute and a half not even being able to enter the zone or really get chances?
For sure.
So I think it's the other way around, where it's like, okay, unit 2 is doing fine, but you need unit 1 more than anything to be the one that is getting opportunities and chances. So
you take Kane off of it?
Well, that's where I'm leading, where I don't know how I feel about this, because historically this power play unit 1 has been so good. Top 10 in the league last year, at times top 5 in the league last year. And they were very good until this 1-for-20 stretch the last 5 games. So, like, I'm not sure I love the idea of taking Kane and Cat and spreading the wealth, so to speak. I understand, like, the idea of giving it a new look because it is struggling, but I also think it's one of those things where, one of those situations, I'm okay banging my head against the wall for a little bit longer to see if it can sort itself out, because we know how good they can be. But if McLellan sees that they're stagnant because they've become predictable, right? We've complained about that. The power play unit 1 tries to do like 2 things. It's either find the Brinkett or Raymond back door or feed Larkin in the bumper. And they're covering Larkin like crazy in the bumper these days. Then, yeah, I guess it warrants a shakeup and trying something new. I mean, you don't know unless you try, right? So my first reaction was, I don't know how I feel about this. I think it's okay to try it just because nothing was working recently, but also know that I feel as if it would have kind of worked itself out after a while. But I don't know. I'm willing to try it, essentially.
Yeah, and that's I guess kind of where I'm at too, where it's like, I'm down
It's
for
worth a
anything,
shot.
like just to
Right.
see, what if it could help.
And that's what it comes down to, is just trying to spark offense somewhere.
Right. I think the interesting point that we keep going back and forth on is I guess maybe the usage of power play too. Like maybe there's something to be said for like, okay, we're leaving these guys out there for 60 to 90 seconds every single power play. And like, I don't know, maybe this is an opportunity to cycle through both units a little bit more consistently, and you bump that up, and it's more of a like 50-50 split than a 75-25, and that maybe is a way that on paper you can get some more fresh legs in there and maybe be better. I don't know. I think that's a good point.
I think that's a good point. You get fresh legs out there sooner, and that second pair of fresh legs has a higher ceiling now than it did previously. I think there is a valid point to be had in there. Maybe that is why, another reason why at least this could have been happening, where now they're trying to spread the wealth a little bit. I think it can be good. Like, I'm looking at this unit and I see upside, both these units, and I see a lot of upside.
Upside on both of them now.
Right.
Yeah,
PP unit 2 especially. It's just, it's like one of those things where I understand they felt the need to try something, and I'm okay with trying something because it's been so stagnant. But also I'm like, oh man, that unit was so good historically. I'm like, I really hope this works because, I think we were all so in love with power play unit 1, but I guess something had to change, and I can't fault McLellan for trying.
For sure. Yeah, no, I agree with all that.
And Tanguay is mostly in charge of the power play
For sure.
unit.
Yeah.
Scotty, let's head to a quick break. When we return, we kind of buzzed right past it. Nate Danielson immediately getting looks on power play unit 1. I want to talk about that. That's pretty awesome. As well as ASP moving to the point. He's done that before, power play unit 2, but now he's back there as well. Before talking about the rest of the lineup and previewing the game against the Anaheim Ducks. So stay tuned to segment 2 of Locked On Red Wings. When I'm hydrated, everything just works better. My focus, energy, mood, even my skin. That's why I've been using Drip Drop. It's doctor-developed hydration that keeps me running at full power no matter what my day looks like. Drip Drop isn't your average sports drink. It delivers 3 times the electrolytes and half the sugar of leading brands using a science-backed formula trusted by medical professionals, firefighters, and over 90% of top collagen pro teams. Hydration has become non-negotiable for me. Drip Drop helps me feel sharper, calmer, and honestly, just overall better. Right now, Drip Drop is offering podcast listeners 20% off your first order. Go to dripdrop.com and use code LOCKEDONNHL. That's dripdrop.com, promo code LOCKEDONNHL for 20% off. Stock up now before the heat hits hard and keeps your body and mind performing at their best with Drip Drop. All right, Scotty. Nate Danielson promoted to Power Play Unit 1. I find that so interesting because he's played literally one NHL game in a 5-1 loss. And of course, McLellan said it himself. Danielson was not at fault for the loss, and I thought he acclimated himself very nicely as the third-line center in that game. And I think that putting him on Power Play Unit 1 is definitely injecting some youth, speed, and hustle into that power play unit, especially along those flanks there. But I think what is most promising to me and most reassuring is just the amount of faith that Todd McLellan puts into the youth. And we've talked about that before, but you have 3 rookies on this roster right now, and all 3 of them are playing power play. Finney and Danielson are in Power Play Unit 1, and ASP is playing Power Play Unit 2. Like, one, it sends a hell of a message to the team that, like, and we've said this before too, that McLellan does not care how many games you've played in the NHL. If he thinks you're going to contribute, he's going to play you. And it does not care if you've been here 1 minute or 10 years. The best player is going to play. And so I love that he's trying to do this with the bottom or the power play units because at bare minimum, right? They might not be the most refined players in comparison to some of these other vets, but they have a lot better legs, so more speed, and they hustle so hard. So they might not have the most refined games, but and I'm not saying that Danielson, Finney, and ASP don't have refined games, especially guys like Danielson, I think has a very mature NHL level game, but we know what we're getting energy levels wise. They're going to be out there hustling, and right now this team needs somebody who's got an endless motor to generate chances on the power play and at 5-on-5.
Yeah, 100%. And I think Danielson, I mean, there's the offensive upside that he still possesses, I think is really exciting, especially when surrounded by talent like that. You know, I mean, the best forwards on the team. So that'll be super fun as well. Yeah, man, I'm excited about it. I think that there's also something to be said for just kind of integrating him in the offense any way you can more and more. And that's clearly what they're doing. So I think what I'm trying to say is I think that this is a sign that this isn't like just like a temporary, we'll see how he plays and then, you know, whatever. Like I think he's here to stay the rest of the season, and by evidence of stuff like this.
And his hockey IQ is going to really go a long way, I think, on those flanks. I think there will be a little bit of probably nerves, right? Second NHL game, you're on Power Play Unit 1, right? Along the half wall there, but that's where you need kind of a more cerebral player who can, from the perimeter, assess the situation, and I think Danielson's got that kind of game. Now, he is no Patrick Kane, who he is replacing on that flank, but I think that that's a smart option to put in place of Patrick Kane as you put Kane on the second unit. I love Emmett Finney as the net front. I mean, that's a dog right there. I mean, the net front guy is responsible for getting behind the net and battling and loosening up that puck to keep the play alive in the offensive zone. But he's also in charge of finding the rebounds and trying to bury them right there. And I love the Emmett Finney choice there on Power Play Unit 1 as net front.
Yeah, 100%. And actually, I mean, to that point, we've kind of been dogging on Rasmussen lately, and he's now the option on the net front and power play too. And I actually love that. And there's no guarantee it works. We'll see. Again, we've been very critical of him so far this season. And obviously this is a power play that's gone cold just in general across the board. But I think that there really is something to be said for that. Like, he's had success there before. The power play has had success with like a big body out in front before. I mean, that's even going back to like the Oscar Sundqvist days, like you know what I mean? Like they've
back.
That's but like I know they're slightly different personnel, whatever, but also like still kind of a lot of the same people, even though that is a few years removed now. So I think that there's something to be said for trying, just putting your big body, forward out in front and seeing if that changes anything.
Well, and if there's one thing that Rasmussen can do, it's get in front of the eyes of the goalie and deflect pucks. He is, next to James Van Riemsdyk, probably your best player at knocking pucks out of the air on their way to the net, right? He had a lot of goals last year deflecting pucks. I think JVR is better at that, but JVR has also not been playing his best hockey lately. I don't even think he was cycling into the lineup in this game. He might be a scratch tomorrow. We'll have to wait and see. It could be out of the lineup for different reasons or out of practice for different reasons. We don't know for sure. But Rasmussen, I think that he could play a role there as just a guy to try and deflect pucks, get in the eyes of the goaltender. I think that's a fine pick to at least be testing out. Axel Sandin Pellikka on the point, back to the point, I should say. He's been, I think, power play unit 2 point most of the season, with the exception of the last couple games where Albert Johansson's been there with ASP on the flanks. More opportunity for ASP to show what he's got, walking the line up there, trying to free up people. I want to see him. This is going to sound crazy. He leads the team in shots blocked. Not blocked shots, not him blocking shots, but shots blocked. Because he releases everything. I want to see him become a little bit pickier and choosier about his spots when he releases. Sure. Try and create openings for his teammates and use his feet to find openings rather than just get the puck at the point and unleash a cannon. And I love him unleashing a cannon. Just be a little wiser about it.
Hear me out.
A little wiser.
Hear me out. We intentionally go a little wide with it and start playing the off the backboard rebound game. Okay,
Nick Lidstrom used to love that.
We just start getting crazy with the old Lidstrom offense, if you will. We just see if that can carry over in it today. But no, in all seriousness, I think you're right. I appreciate the aggressiveness because it's been a long time since the Wings have had a kind of a trigger happy slap shot guy on the blue line. But I think there is an extent where like you have to be a little bit more selective with your decision making for sure.
Well, and I really like the Casper DeBrincat Kane line basically being on the second power play unit as well. Obviously, they're not together at 5-on-5 at the moment, but there's that familiarity there. Anytime you put Kane and DeBrincat together on the flanks and the power play, you're going to have a dangerous unit. Casper as a bumper guy, I mean, I think that could work out well, and he needs a spark. So I think both units have a lot of upside. But it's just we had really stacked the upside on Unit 1, and it was working so well up until this stagnant period. So it's one of those situations where I just have to see it before I know exactly how to feel. Because I like the upside of it. I like the idea because it's been so stagnant. But I'm also conflicted because we know how high Unit 1 can soar when it's clicking.
Yeah, and I think that's the give and take. It's very similar to the do you put Edmondson and Seider together argument. Like it's rather similar to that. It's like, okay, do you want to spread out the wealth a little bit more, or do you want the pair that's going to play, dang near half an hour a night to be at its peak? Like there's arguments both ways. I think I don't know. Well, we'll see. Really, I don't have too much else to add. I guess I'm just going to start repeating myself. But
we've talked it to death now.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's an interesting concept, and I am very intrigued on whether Unit 2 now gets just more ice time. By I don't know, situation.
And a little bit of follow up on the JVR comment I made about him maybe not playing tomorrow. Ansar Khan tweeted out with the Red Wings forward lines that looked like Berggren was filling in for JVR, who may be having his skate worked on, and Soderblom was skating as the extra. So JVR might just be being filled in with Berggren at the moment of that practice. So he could still end up playing tomorrow. Scotty, let's head to a quick break. When we return, we have a preview of the Anaheim Ducks and talk a little bit more about the lines for the game against the Ducks. So stay tuned to segment 3 of Locked On Red Wings.
The Ducks.
The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of the game or want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making the late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. I feel like we have talked so much Ducks these past 2 weeks that we are borderline the Locked On Ducks podcast.
Well,
like we've spoken about them.
Yes,
so much.
but one of them was like we shouldn't have. Like,
yeah, I know.
Like, yes, you're right, but it's not because of like situational or proxy. Like half of it is because we screwed up. Yeah,
we have. I think we've spoken about a team that we play twice a year more than we have about opponents in our own division.
Yeah.
The opponents in the Red Wings division. Insane.
So far, that's probably accurate. Yeah. This is already the third time we've talked about the Ducks, and we've only played them once.
At least 3, maybe more. I mean, we previewed and then we recapped, and then when we previewed incorrectly again, we'll preview today and then we'll recap tomorrow.
That's
5.
4. Well, this will be the 4th conversation we've had about the Ducks, and we literally at the time of this recording have only
5th.
played them. Yeah.
Oh, this will be the 4th, but yeah, there'll be 5
4.
total.
After the game will be 5, and that will be in 2 games played.
Right, and not talking about any like references we've made to them along the way of us talking about the drought, right? Oh boy.
Well, I think the biggest thing with the Ducks is obviously like the really hot start. They kept winning even after our false preview on Friday. They kept winning. They finally lost, as you mentioned at the top of the show, which will be kind of interesting just to see if that is kind of like the beginning of maybe coming back down to earth, or if they just get right back on the horse and whatnot. The interesting part to me about the Ducks is it's named Friday. The interesting part to me about Anaheim this year is they are just significantly outperforming their metrics. And like, that's not a bad thing. Like, that's fun. They are young and fun. They have a really young core that's up and coming, and I honestly I like the team a lot, as I'm sure I say every time we play the Ducks. But to me, it's I don't want to say like when will the other shoe drop and be like, oh, like they're destined to like completely fall apart or anything. I think there is enough young talent there where they could be kind of a frisky team that hangs around the middle of the pack and is in wild card contention by the end of the year. But I do think that like they're not going to win the division. Like I do think that they have to come back down to earth to an extent here over the coming weeks and months. And it's still so early in the season. And a lot of their possession metrics and team metrics are just like bottom 6 to 8 in the entire NHL, bottom 10 in the NHL. So that's kind of the biggest question I have is like, this is clearly a young, talented roster that is trending in the right direction. Has a lot to be excited about as an organization. I'm not trying to take anything away from like them or the fan base or anything. It just is, to me, the question is just how long does this last? Yeah.
The analytics nerd here is going to tell you a little bit about why you're right. And that is because their shot attempt share at 5-on-5 right now, Scotty, is 15th in the league. So 1 spot over middle of the pack. That is the best that it gets for them in terms of their metrics. Obviously, their goals for share are really high. But that, speaks to the point I'm about to make, because their shot share, the actual shots for versus shots against at 5-on-5, they're ranked 25th in the league. Their expected goal share is also 25th in the league at 47.5%. Like, they are getting outchanced in almost every game that they play. They're getting outshot in almost every game that they play. They take a lot of attempts, that most of them don't go anywhere, but they're finishing on them at an insane rate. Their shooting percentage right now, Scotty, is 7th in the league? 7th in the league at 5-on-5 is their shooting percentage.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. They also take, and this has been a problem for like 3 years now, they take so many penalties. And I think that is, even the last time the Wings and Ducks played, that was the story of that game, right? Is there in Anaheim, there was a ton of penalties on both sides, really.
Right.
So that'll be like, don't fall into that trap. If it gets, really physical and they start taking a lot of penalties, you don't have to, slash back. Like you can just take the penalty and take the power play and go about your business. So I think that's an important thing to keep in mind too.
Yeah, they're 5-on-5 PDO, which is again just takes all those metrics and makes it into luck essentially. It always regresses to the mean, either up or down to 100. We talked about this with Montreal yesterday, because Montreal second in the league in PDO with 103%. It always regresses back to 100% or close to it. There are exceptions to that rule. There's always teams that finish. Yeah, there's always teams that finish a hair above or a hair below.
The luckiest team of the history of hockey or whatever.
Insane.
Yeah.
But Anaheim's right now is at 102%. So it'll come back down and it'll regress to the mean a little bit as we progress here. But again, not to take anything away from them. They're young, they're fun, and they're gelling right now. I mean, they've won what? So they just came off a 7-game win streak, and then they've won 9 of their last 11 total, which is insane.
And it is, and it's very impressive. And this isn't like a random. Well, I guess random. It is kind of from like an unexpected perspective, but this isn't like a team that just has no talent either. And you're like, wow, where are they getting? Like, no, there's a young core of guys that are 24, 25 years old and younger, and I mean, including in between the pipes, like they I don't know. I like the direction. It's just a matter of whether they're able to carry that momentum on, over the next couple of years. But I like the direction they're headed, and I think that that fan base has every reason to be super, super pumped about kind of where they're at right now, even if even if they regress like 3 spots in the standings, and still be in the playoffs. Like there is still a lot of. Even if they do take a step back, like again, they could still very much find themselves kind of in that middle of the pack, like wild card hunt around the trade deadline.
And we're talking a lot about big picture stuff with them, right? Like how by the end of the year, like they're not going to be this red hot. But the fact of the matter is they are red hot still, even with the 1 loss breaking the 7-game winning streak.
You're playing them now.
right now when they're playing unreal hockey. I mean, you just saw that 2 weeks ago. So it is important for Detroit, who's struggling to score, to be able to lock it down and get this win, because it's a red hot Anaheim Ducks team and a struggling Red Wings team right now. So it is so important for the Red Wings to use this as a get-right game and stop the skid here and now. And, I mean, the offensive, the lines here at practice for the Detroit Red Wings were Larkin, Raymond, DeBrincat, which we saw I think reunited's the right word. They've played together before. In halfway through the game against the Chicago Blackhawks, Finney, Comfer, and Kane. That line is going to be the one I'm keeping my closest eye on, because I really want to see how those 3 perform together across a full 60-minute hockey game. Thought Finney had some extra jump after getting moved down there, but I thought Comfer honestly had a good game as second-line center, despite the fact that the team couldn't score. Danielson, Appleton, and Kasper, Berggren, Kopp, and Rasmussen, but again, Berggren might have been filling in for JVR. And then it looks like Soderblom was skating as an extra, which stinks because I think Soderblom's played really well lately, but I also get like you got to get everybody in the lineup, especially when your team's struggling. That's the best time to check out different looks. Defensively, it's pretty chalk. Edvinsson, Seider, Sherratt, ASP, Johansson, and JBD, though, with Hamonic as the extra. We haven't seen JBD in a minute.
It's been a while.
Well, they've been giving Hamonic and Johansson a little bit more defensive deployments, freeing up the top 4 a little bit more to play more offensive, which I like the idea of, because I like the idea of Edvinsson and Seider being freed up a little bit. And Hamonic historically has been pretty good defensively, but like I also know that in the last couple of years his play has slid a little bit. So getting JBD back in there and changing it up a little bit might be the play.
For sure. Yeah, and I think there's I mean, as you mentioned, something to be said for just like giving everybody a look and seeing, especially when you're on a slide, like let's just throw some new bodies out there and see what happens. So we'll see. Yeah, Danielson and Finney, I think, are probably the 2 biggest, and just like splitting up Kane and Cat are probably the biggest things to watch in that game. So we'll see. I'm hoping that all of this leads to
a win.
Well, I was going to say better depth. I was going to say better depth scoring. And then I was like, well, maybe just like scoring period. I would really like this to lead to just the puck finding the back of the net. That's my simple hope for this game.
Bold take. Scotty, do you have any final thoughts, brother?
We ball, baby.
We do ball. We'll be back with a new episode tomorrow, recapping the game against the Anaheim Ducks. Stay tuned for that. Same time, same place. It's your team every day.